What is good, YouTube? This is Doc Customs, and in this video we're going to be talking about how to prep sneakers. Now, prep is key to making sure your shoe will last a good long time and there won't be a whole bunch of creasing, a whole bunch of cracking in the paint. So definitely pay attention in this video, take everything in that you can, because this is the key to making a successful custom shoe that's going to last you a good long time. Alright, so here I have in front of me some Jordan 6s. The camera's doing some weird stuff, but I have some Jordan 6s in front of me, and Jordans are typically made out of synthetic leather, so they're not actually real leather shoes. These are some kind of canvas with a wax coating on it, and they have some kind of paint on top of it too to make it look like it's leather, but it's not actually real leather. But as far as Jordans and the synthetic leather goes, you definitely want to be diligent about acetoning the top layer off, because it is a wax coating on top of it, which prevents the paint from adhering to the surfaces. So you definitely want to make sure that the acetone is working the way it should be, and you want to get the really good acetone so you can get that top layer off so your paint will adhere to the surface. So when the paint adheres to the surface, that's what really keeps the custom from cracking over long periods of time. Makes the shoe very flexible, just makes it look good overall. Yeah, so like I said, it's a nice Jordan 6. I'm going to do a custom on these later on, but as right now we're going to work on the prep. So of course, when you're prepping shoes, you're going to need cotton balls. There's no specific type of cotton ball that you need, really. It's just general Dollar Tree cotton balls will work fine. And then you're going to need some type of decent strength acetone. This you can get from Walmart for about $2.40 or something, and this is pretty good strength. Pure acetone always is the best option for when you're trying to customize a shoe. You don't want to dilute it with anything. Some acetone has nail strengthener in it, some other things that'll help your nails grow, because acetone is typically for nail polish removing. But in this case, we're going to be using it on shoes, so we definitely just want to get the pure acetone, the strongest things that we can get. So I'm going to take my acetone, take this top off, and I'm just going to put the cotton ball on top of the acetone. I'm going to shake it up so it saturates the cotton ball a little bit, not too much, because it's just going to get on your hands, and acetone isn't really a pleasant feel because it's cold. Then we're just going to rub at the actual synthetic leather, and sometimes you'll be able to see the top coat coming off depending on how old the shoe is. It's just one of those things you have to gauge, but it'll actually clean the shoe too, so if it has any dirt marks, it'll start taking the dirt marks off, because acetone is eating at the top layer. So acetone eats at pretty much anything, so if you spill this on some plastic or something, it'll start melting the plastic. You definitely got to be careful about that. Make sure you don't have anything around you that can melt. It does melt phone cases. It will melt plastic foam pieces, so be very careful about where you put your acetone. Yeah, we're just gonna rub in a circle. We're gonna make sure that we get all the edges, all the bottom edges, and I'm gonna do a time lapse and I'm gonna show you guys the full walkthrough, because I'm gonna do the whole shoe, but as of right now it's just a test. And then the acetone dries really quickly, so you're gonna have to use a lot of cotton balls to get fully around the whole shoe. So yeah, just dip the cotton ball in the acetone, shake it up, make sure it's saturated but not too saturated, and rub it in circles or rub back and forth, either way, whichever one you want to do, and just go over it really thoroughly. And sometimes you'll be able to feel the wax with your hands. You'll be able to feel certain spots where the wax is and where wax isn't, so definitely just do a hand test. You'll be able to tell. So on this particular custom, I'm gonna have to tape the midsole off on the bottom where the actual clear pods are, because I'm gonna be doing a repaint on the actual midsole too, and on the uppers. So when you're doing taping on the midsole, you're gonna have to get into all these little creases right here where the grooves are, where the bubbles end and the foam meets. So I'm gonna show you how to do that in a second. Alright, so there's a specific kind of tape that I use to do this, and it is their 3M masking tape from Walmart. I think they recently... Okay, yeah, this is the other kind. So there's a kind with a purple rim, and there's a kind with an actual kind of brownish rim. I'm gonna try out this brownish rim because I haven't tried this one yet, but the purple rim I know definitely works for sure. This might just be the new version because it does have the purple basic taping layer over it, so I don't know. But taping, you just have to be detail oriented about the creases because that's where the paint will get into the actual areas you don't want to get it into if you don't thoroughly tape them and cut them right. So just be mindful of that while you're taping shoes. Like I said, I'm gonna be doing the air bubble under the actual midsole, and we do tape the whole bottom. Well, I do at least. I don't know about everybody else, but I tape the whole bottom just because if you're painting and you happen to spill something and the shoe is on the table, then the paint's gonna get on the bottom of the shoe and that's gonna be a headache. So it's better for you to just tape the bottom with the top to prevent any ugliness from happening in that area. So we're gonna get into the creases. And just kind of bend the tape around the grooves of certain parts. You don't have to like go through the whole thing and just use one piece of tape. You tape these little pieces off and then rip it and go again, because you definitely just want to get all the corners covered that aren't what you're trying to paint on. Zoom in here. This one. Right now I'm using the small strips of tape for the outside. I'm gonna use big strips of tape for the bottom, so I can go ahead and cover that real fast because you don't have to do any detailing on the bottom. But you definitely just want to make sure you get this rim area right here. And this tape is good on shoes for 3 days. After that, it'll leave tape residue, which is really annoying to get off, especially if it's really close to a paint job that you did and it's a design that's hard to redo. Then you definitely want to be careful how long you leave the paint up there. That's going to be one of the things that annoys you after you take the tape off, is all this tape residue that you have to acetone off of the midsoles. So yeah, just make sure you keep it up there for less than 3 days. If you want to, take your time doing the custom, just make sure it's off before 3 days, because it's going to be really annoying to take that tape residue off once it gets up there. Being really thorough. I'm really just using my nail to get it into the grooves for the most part. Some people use X-Acto knives, some people use toothpicks. I mean, it's up to you. As long as you get it in there, it's cool. Like I said, prep is definitely key. It sets the tone for your whole job. It makes things a lot easier. It makes the process go a lot smoother. So if you're trying to achieve a certain date, you definitely want to make sure you thoroughly prep your shoe, because then you won't have to go over and do any, well, I'm not gonna say any, but you won't have to go back and do a whole bunch of repainting or touching up or whatever if you prep your shoe properly. And mind if there's moisture in your house, like it's heavily damp, or in your office or wherever you work, the paint will be kind of weird because it's kind of humid outside. Where I live right now, it just stopped raining, so I'm pretty sure there's some moisture in my house because my window's open. So yeah, just be mindful of that. Like if it doesn't really want to stick, just be patient with it, because that's probably the reason it's not sticking. Especially if you have like this tape, this 3M tape is really sticky. So it's not the tape, it's definitely just some moisture in the air trying to get to the tape. Yeah, just get all the angles that you can. You're taping. There's no one right way to tape, so turn it all kinds of ways you need to get it in there so you can see the creases where the shoe is. But basically you want to get it in every groove you can. There's this neat trick with electric tape that I'm gonna do in another video that you can use on certain areas that are like really, really curved and like really windy. So that'll be really helpful you guys on certain shoes that have a lot of curves. taping, I was right on the edges. Alright guys, so I'm gonna give you my tip on how to do this, because I've seen people do like taping in really small increments, and I feel like it just takes a long time. And to make money in customizing for people, you actually have to be really quick at it, because the more you can do in a shorter amount of time, the more money you can make. So the sooner you can get a custom done, then the sooner you can move on to the next one, and the sooner you get your money. So this is just how I do it. I use my nail and I run it down the edge of whatever I'm taping. You know, put the other end on the bottom, and then when I get to a corner, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my nail and go around the groove in the corner, so the tape sticks inside there, and then I just kind of fold it downwards, going along the line, and put the edge inside of the groove instead of using an X-Acto knife. And this I find is a lot faster and a lot cleaner than having to go back with an X-Acto knife, because this way you're just kind of tucking it into the groove instead of having to come back and cut it, maybe having a mistake and cutting too much or cutting too little, so you have to go over it again with tape. So just use, you don't have to use your nails if you don't have nails. I know some people don't have nails, but like a toothpick or something flat and skinny, and then just kind of rotate it into the groove, which makes it a lot cleaner, a lot faster, so you guys can get your customs done. Take a few minutes off your time. Yeah, so nice and clean, no edges showing. You can always go back and just run your finger through again. See, make sure it's in there. I think I did have a few spaces missing, and a little bit of overlap. You definitely don't want spaces missing, and you don't want overlap either, because if you, especially on this type of midsole, like if you paint the midsole, you get overlap, you have to like paint it on top of what you already painted again, just to make sure it looks right. And sometimes it's kind of annoying depending on how you painted it or what you did to it. So I'm missing a little bit of tape right here. I'm gonna tape this up, and I got a little space in the front, and there's some overlapping on the toe cap, so I'm gonna just take an X-Acto knife and cut that off, and then I think we'll be good to go for the most part. Brand new X-Acto knife. Also, if you've never used an X-Acto knife before, be very careful. These are extremely sharp. These aren't like your normal razor blades. These are built to cut anything very quickly. That's why they have these little plastic tips on it, to make sure you don't cut yourself taking the blade off. And you don't have to bear down on it really hard, because these blades are literally the sharpest blades you could probably get. Run it across the edge right there. Don't bear down too hard, because you will cut the material. And then take the little point and lift the tape off. Boom. Alright, so now that we got our shoes all prepped, I'm going to be taking the paint off the midsole, which is basically another prep for paint. Now, acetone and midsoles are kind of iffy depending on what kind of paint they use. Some shoes have so much paint on it, the way they layered it, you have to use Dad's Easy Spray or some kind of paint stripper to actually get it off. But these should be fine. They don't seem like they're layered too much. We could just run some acetone across it, rub a good firm 3-4 times on one part, and it should come off. Alright, so when we're acetoning midsoles, we just want to take our acetone, rub lightly, So you see it start to come off. So that's how you gauge how rough you should be with it, because midsoles will get pits if you acetone it too hard. So you just want to run that across. And the only reason I'm not taping the top is because I'm actually going to paint the whole top. So I'm just going to go ahead and strip everything off at the same time, so I can save myself some tape, save myself some time. It's going to take a lot of cotton balls to do this because of the way the paint is layered on there and the finishing they have. So now, be patient, take your time. Like I said, customizing shoes isn't for people that aren't patient, so these are one of the reasons why. Midsole, if you're doing a midsole, you know what I mean, the Jordan 6s, so you know you gotta do the midsole if you're gonna do anything to them. If you're gonna change that, normally people do. So when you're done doing the midsole, this is what it's gonna look like, something like that. It could be a little bit cleaner, but I'm cool with this right now because I'm just gonna paint it over white again anyway. So now we have to do the top portion. So the top portion is a little bit easier. If you're doing this, you're gonna notice that the bottom portion, you have to put a little bit of elbow grease into it to get it to actually come off, because it won't just rub off like normal. It's up there pretty good. But as far as the top part goes, it's just really decent firm rub on the top where all the wax is, and then we can start painting. Just so you guys know, when you're doing acetoning and prepping for shoes, there are certain areas that you want to pay more attention to than others. You want to pay attention to all of it, but there are certain areas that are prone to chip and peel if you do not acetone them right. So those are the things you really want to pay attention to. So of course, Jordan 6s have a rounded toe cap, which means if you bump anything, it's a round surface. So if the paint isn't adhered all the way to the surface, then it's going to chip, guaranteed. So definitely just make sure you take care of the areas that are really sensitive, and you know they're gonna get a lot of wear on the shoe. A certain part of the shoe that the outside is never gonna touch really. It's just gonna keep looking nice, but like the midsoles, the front toe boxes, the back heels, those are all the places that really get dinged up on a shoe. So you definitely just want to make sure that you really get into those places and rub as much as you can. Probably go over like 3-4 times just to make sure, because like I said, if it stops peeling and chipping, somebody's gonna be asking you questions if they're not your shoes. So yeah, I mean, just make sure you're doing your due diligence and you can say you did everything you could. Alright, so when you actually finish acetoning the whole shoe, or you know, acetoning your midsole or whatever part you're gonna paint, your tape might come up a little bit on the edges just because of the pressure you were applying with the acetone, and it's eating away at the tape too at the same time. You just go ahead and retape that the way you did before. You should only have to add a little bit because you shouldn't rip the whole piece of tape off, but I do have a little bit on the heel I have to fix. So just go ahead and retape that, and then you'll be ready to paint on your shoe. Alright, so that pretty much concludes this video. I hope you guys have got a decent understanding of how to prep shoes. If you have any comments, concerns, you know, leave them down in the comments below, and we'll definitely try to get back to you guys as soon as possible. The items I used in the video will be in the link down below in the description. So we're using everything on Amazon just because we support Amazon, and we love that Amazon has free shipping and Amazon has free 2-day shipping. So you get your stuff as fast as possible so you can start customizing these shoes, making some money, and doing what you love to do. So as always, follow our Instagram, Black Market Footwear, and follow our Facebook page. It's the same thing, Black Market Footwear. And this is Doc Customs from Black Market Footwear as always, and I'm going to see you guys in the next video.